Good evening everyone, or should I say buonasera, because today I'm going to be making fresh egg pasta. So you may have already heard me talking about there being so much more to van cooking than just those boring old pasta dishes. I mean, it is a bit of a van life staple, isn't it? Everyone knows how to make pasta. But I'm going to show you how to make fresh pasta, and it really isn't complicated. It's not as messy as it might sound. I tend to use a tray to hold all my flour, and you know, it's minimal mess really, and it's so much better. Honestly, please do try this. So really, you want to make a little volcano of flour in the middle of your tray. It's not too much, depends how many you're cooking for. Today I'm actually only cooking for myself, but then I am quite greedy. So there's probably about 100 grams there, I'd say, 150 maybe. And then you just make a little well in the middle, a little volcano. So then I'm just going to take 2 eggs, crack them into the middle. Extra virgin olive oil. You only need a little drizzle just in the top. And you just want to crack a bit of salt all around. Pink Himalayan every time. So just using a fork, you want to just very carefully whisk the egg inside, and it will just slowly start picking up the flour. I'll put some love into this. So I do have Italian heritage. My grandfather was a chef, and he actually worked alongside Gennaro Contaldo, who was Jamie Oliver's mentor, and my family are from Minori, where Jamie Oliver went to learn to cook. It's a beautiful village. If you ever go to the Amalfi Coast, be sure to pop into Minori. It's in between Amalfi and Maori, and it's like unspoilt Italy. There's hardly any touristy things there. It's also home to the best, voted the best pizzeria on the Amalfi Coast. So it's well worth visiting Minori, mark my words. So this is the part where you need to start using your hands. You just keep pressing it in till it has the consistency of like kids' Play-Doh. When it starts to become a dough, you need to start kneading it. And you want to knead it for at least 10 minutes. So just keep pressing it in. That really is key to keep kneading it for 10 minutes. You really want to work the dough for a long time. Put some love into it. So you just mop up all that flour so you get minimal mess. Obviously make sure you've got a clean surface before you start. That is forming beautifully. And I'll tell you what, it really can be quite a workout. You know, really pressing in, really give it some, put your love into it. After all, Italian food is the food of love. That looks great. So the kind of texture you're looking for is you want to be able to push. That's what you want. Springy. So what you want to do now is you want to leave it to rest for at least half an hour. I like to go for an hour. So what I do is I put it in these little silicone bags. You can use cling film if you like, or wrap it in some sort of airtight container and Just keep that airtight and leave it on the side. Now it's time to take the dog for a walk. Just back from the walk. The pasta's been resting for about an hour now, so I should show you what it looks like. So I have my pasta. So it's nice and pliable. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to actually cut it into two. I'm going to start with one half at a time. So taking one half at a time, I'm now going to roll this out. So I'm going to just give it a light dusting in the flour left over in the tray from earlier. I'll leave the other one in there as well. Now, rolling pin. I don't really carry a rolling pin in the van, but what I am a sucker for is a bottle of wine. So always roll out away. Never do the rocking motion. Don't do that. It won't be very even. So always roll outwards. So the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to laminate the dough by basically replicating what you would do with a pasta roller. So you would fold it in half, run it through the machine, fold it in half again, and just run it through about 3 or 4 times. So I'm going to do the same. I'm going to fold it, roll it, fold it, roll it. That process is called laminating. It's a really good way as well of getting the dough to be a bit squarer. So the next thing you want to do really is roll it out as thin as you can get it. And when I say thin, I mean you almost want to be able to see through it. The thinner the better. Also trying to keep the shape, try and keep it as square as possible. Just makes it easier for cutting the pasta shapes afterwards. Sometimes you have to hold the dough in place while you roll it out. Don't forget to sometimes just give it ever such a light dusting. Sometimes you need it. I mean, you do make a bit of mess, but it's worth it. It's worth it. It's fresh pasta. I mean, there's nothing better than fresh pasta. So it's starting to get thin there. See how thin that's getting. It's looking good. So I'm very happy with that. So just to stop it sticking, again, just a little dusting. Doesn't need to be much, doesn't need to make loads of mess. Just a little bit. But there's enough pasta here for one dish. So if you're making for 2, you want to take the other half and go with that. But for me, I'm all on my lonesome, so I'm rolling with that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to very, very carefully and loosely roll this. Very loose. You don't want it to stick. You can see how I've put a coating of flour on there as well. Just giving that a roll. Okay. Okay, so that's rolled ever so loosely. Now what I'm going to do is just trim the two ends off, because you're not going to get nice cuts at the end, so I'm just going to trim them off. It's firm cuts. Okay, and now I'm going to cut that into just strips of fettuccine. So when that unravels, got some lovely, cut it as thin or as thick as you like really. It's important your knife is sharp, by the way, otherwise you get a gammy end. Okay, now what you'll have, just be ever so delicate with it, some lovely fettuccine ready for cooking. I'm so excited to cook this. Who needs a pasta machine, eh? So there you go. That's how you make the pasta. Now we're going to compile this and turn this into a dish, and my favourite pasta dish is such a basic one, and I think it's personally the most tasty. It's just to cook the pasta in some stock with some garlic and then some Parmesan cheese. So pan wise, I like to go with the Flavorstone pan that we've spoken about quite a lot actually. So it doesn't need to be too much water. So you don't need too much water, because you're only going to be boiling that pasta for about 2 minutes maximum. But I'm going to season the water. So I'm using a vegetable stock, but it will work really well with chicken stock too. So I'm just going to take one garlic clove. I'm going to grate it into the water. So just give that a good old stir, break up that stock there. Okay, so now the water's at a boiling temperature. I'm just going to turn it down. I don't want it to be a real vigorous boil. I want it to be more like a simmer. So now we're going to take all of our lovely pasta. Just careful, because it's going to be dusted in flour, so you want to you don't want to get that everywhere. Okay, so now place that into the water. So like I said, you don't want to overcook this, literally just a couple of minutes. If you overcook it, it tends to go all stodgy and rubbery. It's not very nice. So you can always taste it if you're unsure, rather than overcooking and risking it. So that's bang on. That's literally been 90 seconds or so. So just turn off the heat and we're going to reuse the water. So take some Parmesan cheese or Parmigiano Reggiano, and we're going to put loads of it in. Okay, that tastes incredible. Okay, I'm so happy with this, it tastes amazing. So now it's time to plate up, making sure we get plenty of that sauce. You know, I could just drink that sauce afterwards, so don't waste it. You could even serve this up in a bowl and have it literally swimming in that, and I will literally drink that. Just going to pour a bit more of that sauce on. black pepper. Okay, that is where it's at, just to make it look a little bit prettier. Boom. Right, I'm deadly serious. This is the best pasta I've ever eaten. It's come out so good. Honestly, have a go at making fresh pasta in your van. You will not regret it.